Here is an example to illustrate how to calculate the z-score. So the first example says the average 20 to 29-year-old man is 69.6 inches tall with a standard deviation 3 inches, while the average 20 to 29-year-old woman is 64.1 inches with a standard deviation 3.8 inches. Who is relatively taller, a 67-inch man or a 62-inch woman? So we can't compare the raw numbers that we have here since the average for men is different from the average of women. So what we do is try to convert those numbers into z-scores and then compare them because they are unitless. So what I did here in this table, I extracted the information from the question. The mean for the man was 69.6 and the mean for the woman was 64.1. The standard deviation for the men was 3 and for the women was 3.8. And I want to know who is taller, the 67-inch man or the 62-inch woman. So to do that, I'm going to repeat the process here. I've done this before. So to calculate the z-score for the 67-inch man, I'm going to use this formula right here. And what this formula says, it says you have to take the number or the observation minus the mean, divide by the standard deviation. So what I will do here is I'm going to open a parentheses and then that is the observation 67 minus and then the mean of the man and then close the parentheses and divide everything by the standard deviation, which is going to give me that number. Now I'm going to extend this and I'm going to click as you can see it used the right numbers to calculate the z-score for the women, and I'm now going to cut that and paste it right here and I will still get the same formula correctly. So when you compare the two numbers, it appears that the woman is only 0.56 inches below the average and the man appears to be 0.87 inches below the average. That makes the woman relatively taller than the man. Another application for the z-score is when you were given the z-score and you want to have the value that corresponds to that z-score. So let's look at the second example. The second example says a highly selective boarding school will only admit students who place at least 1.5 standard deviations above the mean. That exactly represents the z-score on a standardized test that has a mean of 200 and a standard deviation of 26. What is the minimum score that an applicant must make to be accepted to that school? So what I did in this table is extracted the information that I have. I have the z-score, which is 1.5, and I have the mean and I have the standard deviation. And I'm now going to calculate the minimum score, which is x in this case. So I'm going to use this formula right here to calculate that. So the formula says x is equal to the z-score times the standard deviation plus the mean. So the answer is going to be 239. So the minimum score that an applicant must make to be accepted is 239. I hope this helped and I will see you in class.